Good evening, everybody. Secretary Kerry, Business Secretary Kwarteng, our good friend Kwasi, Secretaries of State also with us, ministers from near and far, distinguished guests, leaders of business. Welcome to the CBI's COP26 dinner. And can I also say to those of you who are spending it with us, at least tonight, a very happy Diwali. Now, a special thanks to Weir, again, alongside Vodafone and McKinsey Sustainability, for giving us our tea, as they would say around here, and more importantly, for your leadership in the transition to a net zero world. It is wonderful to be in Glasgow. I was told today that climate change has gotten so profound that even Glasgow had got warmer. And that's when you know things are really serious. But it's also wonderful to be at a Glasgow COP where, and Secretary Kerry, I hope you'll confirm this, we are building momentum every day. But I will say one thing about Glasgow, this city where my grandparents were born. They don't suffer fools gladly round here. They'll have enjoyed the circus in town this week, for sure, but they'll be skeptical now as to whether all of us, especially in this room, really mean business. The world leaders have come and most have gone. They have forged more agreement. Our praise goes to them, many of you here, who have put humanity ahead of hubris and planet ahead of politics. The targets are not yet bold enough, and some criticize political leaders, but not us. I think business at COP is in a very different place. Bold targets are timid ones, total agreement or partial agreement. I don't believe any of you in this room, any business that's come to Glasgow has come to ask questions of others. You haven't come here because you think this is government's job. You've come because you think the job's on us. And I say tonight, regardless of political progress, we in business are ready, willing, and able to deliver a net zero world. Whatever its formal agreements, this COP will be best known as the moment we reached a consensus that governments can't get to net zero without business, and that businesses who fail to embrace net zero will get left behind. Our success, therefore, is interdependent at this COP. Where governments have made progress, great progress, such as deforestation or technological breakthroughs, companies will immediately change behavior and investments will follow suit. Where governments have yet to agree, such as on carbon pricing, then the private sector can't solve for those shortcomings. Delivery will be fragmented and patchy. But above all, I believe this is a historic moment for business leadership. And I know from talking to many of you that for some of you it's a moral responsibility. It's a moral obligation. As Andrew Griffith put it to me, and Tracy said it too, this is the second industrial revolution. The first one was created here in the UK, and it was created by us in business. It brought opportunities and growth that no one had expected or even dreamed of. Unfortunately, it also harmed our planet, in some ways irrevocably along the way. But more prosaically, this is also a commercial imperative. Customers, clients, investors, shareholders expect change from us on this agenda, and they expect it quickly. And let me suggest that supply chains will soon tolerate no weak links. So as CFOs around the world have run the numbers, they are realizing that the business case has shifted. To put it bluntly in pure commercial terms, the cost of inaction is for the first time higher than the cost of action. Now, every business has faced strategic challenges of this kind before. All of you in this room, when the future attacks the present, you know, Business School 101, the answer is never to believe you can protect the present. It's always to race to the future, and net zero is the future. Yet there is an emerging gap now between firms who want to be at the forefront of those transition and those who are resisting the inevitable. Well, it's time for firms to choose. Either lead the way or be left behind. Critics say that greenwashing by firms still continues, but I think it's now a minority sport. And that's clear from the new accountability regimes coming on stream after this week. And you can also see it here in this room at the record CEO attendance at COP. Let me tell you, companies don't send the bosses to safeguard reputation. They send the bosses to make investment, take decisions, and take action. The prizes are already here. You can see it in the car companies with growing order books for electric vehicles, food companies with meat-free alternatives growing exponentially. You see it, many of you here, banks and advisory firms who see double-digit growth in all things green. And you see it in energy companies whose decarbonisation strategies affect their market cap. But it's also in the armies of SMEs who realize they need to get early mover advantage to be part of greener supply chains, including family firms, many owners of whom I've spoken to recently who say they now see a future for their business beyond this generation. You know, I think it's funny the UN call it a race to zero. We call it a race to the top. And from the UK Prime Minister to the Prince of Wales to Secretary Kerry, leaders everywhere are starting to say that it is the ingenuity and the financial might of the private sector that will get the world to net zero, to match their billions with our trillions. Well, we accept the challenge. We can, we must, and we will make greater commitments, accept deeper accountability, and raise more capital for the task. But political leaders now need to get serious about what it takes to make this successful. Governments are used to being the green rule makers. Now they must learn to become green market makers, to stimulate market growth, to de-risk new technology investment, to rebalance regulation to support investment too, to use taxation to incentivize those who make green choices rather than those who don't. This view we share with our government partners here in the UK, who are already adopting this approach. Billions don't become trillions without work. And I think this will be a very new partnership between public and private. And governments can't will the ends, but ignore the means. Finally, here in the UK, post-Brexit, post-COVID, decarbonisation is our big bet. It is bringing substance to the Prime Minister's levelling up agenda by bringing higher value industries and jobs to different corners of our country. And it gives new definition to the idea of global Britain. We can and we will export to the world our new green products and services. And that's why we at the CBI have put decarbonisation at the heart of our economic vision for the UK. It's why we're working tirelessly with government colleagues on how policy can unlock more green investment. And it's why we see our job to support you, every firm in this room, on your own journeys. The CBI will regard it as mission critical to enable every firm in the UK to complete a successful net zero transmission. There is one final reason why we as business should lead on the way to decarbonisation. Because we can. This packed room is a statement of intent. That whether for you it's moral or commercial, if it's obligation or opportunity, we as business stand ready to pick up the baton. So thank you for your leadership, for the work that you've done and the work you're about to do, to make the hypothetical real, to make the target achievable, to say clearly tonight that this job's on us and we are ready to seize the moment. Thank you very much. And so it is a huge honor for us to welcome Secretary Kerry to our dinner. A little story. In 2004, I was a master's student at the Kennedy School of Government in Boston. And as November's election approached, a group of us international students went on a mission. We decided we'd go campaigning in New Hampshire, in the New Hampshire mountains, for a certain Massachusetts senator. Now, I'd done some door knocking in the UK at election time. I knew it could be quite rough. But in America, as with everything, they do it bigger and better. I approached a pretty run-down house with a very big dog, and what I later realized was a Confederate flag. It was pretty scary, but I'd leafleted in Norwich, so I knew what I was up for. The door opened, and a man appeared with a full-on ZZ Top beard. He lifted a double-barrel shotgun to my face, and he said, "You get the hell off my land, or I will shoot you." Now, I don't know if he knew I was campaigning for you, Secretary, but maybe he'd just been waiting all these years for the British to come back. But, Secretary Kerry, you owed me one for that. but you have repaid your debt tonight. But on a serious note, it seems to me that when the world has what appears an insurmountable problem, the world calls on John Kerry. He exemplifies the best of American values. He exemplifies the best of American influence and the best of humility in confronting the things we need to confront, regardless of fear of failure or loss of face. Secretary Kerry, we are truly honored to have you with us. Welcome to the CBI.